Hello and welcome to a very exciting episode and a very special episode of To Be Honest, the podcast. My name is Amanda and I am sitting across from the beautiful, talented, spectacular...
Wow. Cara R80. It feels incredibly narcissistic when I call myself that, but let's roll with it anyway.
Let's just roll with it.
It is a special episode. It's actually, we've been waiting for this day.
For a long time.
So long.
And honestly, so have you.
As not the listeners?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, sorry. I thought you just meant like me. And
So
I said
you.
we for a reason. Yes, honestly, the listeners have kind of been waiting for this day as well. Not to sound too narcissistic, but we've had a lot of people asking about merch on Instagram specifically quite a lot.
Yes.
And today we are very happy to share with you all that our first ever piece of merch is out right now. Like you can literally buy it this second if you wish.
Yes. So when we were thinking about like releasing merch and stuff like that, and we've had a lot of people guess what we were going to be creating, we really wanted to do something a little bit different for our first drop of merch.
Yes.
And we really wanted to do something that was in alignment with the podcast and what we're really passionate about, because even though we joke around on this podcast and we talk about a lot of silly things, we really are passionate about open communication, living an authentic life and being the best version of yourself.
Yeah, I mean, this whole podcast, the whole reason we started it was because we wanted to have open, honest conversations, and whether that's about something really frivolous and lighthearted one week or something super intense and quite vulnerable and raw the next week.
Yeah.
We wanted to have those conversations and we wanted to make space for them to show ourselves, honestly, and others that those conversations are really important to be had and it's okay to have them.
Yeah.
In fact, it's necessary
Absolutely.
to be super fulfilled. Anyway, so with all that being said, our very first piece of merch that we've created is these cards.
We're like breaking the fourth wall. These cards.
Hello. We've created conversation and connection cards that are designed to help you understand yourself and understand others better.
Yeah.
There's 40 cards with obviously a different question on each one.
Mm-hmm.
And we're super fucking excited.
Yes.
To share them with you guys.
I think I'm going to read the blurb. Should I read the blurb on the back?
You read the blurb.
Okay.
Go right ahead.
The card game that creates space for truth, vulnerability, and connection. Honesty Hour contains 40 cards, each with a prompt to help you understand yourself and your loved ones better. Shuffle the deck, pick a card, and embrace the laughter, joy, nostalgia, and release that comes with your answer. Before you start each game, take turns answering the question, what do you have to be honest about today?
We really nailed it with that copy.
Well, you nailed it. It definitely wasn't my copy, but you know.
Thanks, but it's a joint effort. So basically, when we created this, like we said, we wanted to release something as our first bit of merch that really encompasses what this podcast is about and what we've connected with everyone listening over, which is, like we mentioned, open and honest conversations.
Yes.
And this kind of the way that we've dreamed of people playing this is like with close friends, like over dinner or like, you know, just sitting at home in like a really comfortable, safe space.
Yeah.
And using them to maybe explore ideas or explore like emotions that you haven't thought about that deeply.
Yeah, and I think as well as that, it can also be beautiful in, you know, new relationships where you're trying to create more space for vulnerability. It can be really beautiful as journal prompts for you to be able to connect with yourself better and just really create that openness and connection in your life.
Exactly. So if we want to get into the boring details of them all.
Yes.
The cards are $39.95 Australian dollars.
Mm-hmm.
They're on our website, like I said, right now, which is so exciting.
Yeah.
I can't believe we're actually saying that because, like, it's been a long time. We started making these in August? I think it was August last year.
Yeah.
So we're currently in the beginning of February 2022. We started in August 2021. And if you follow us on Instagram, you would know that we've kind of been saying, like, they're coming soon, and all that stuff for a while. And it's just kind of been one thing after the other in terms of we never anticipated all the moving parts that go into doing this, because we've done this all ourselves.
Yeah.
Like, as you guys know, like, we currently, like, this podcast is a hobby for us at the moment. Like, It's all our own money that goes into it, and it's our time along with having jobs and all the other adult bullshit that we have to do. So it's been an experience.
Yeah.
And we're so glad that they're finally out. So they're $39.95 Australian dollars. We are shipping to most countries.
Mm-hmm.
With that being said, we're just 2 people. So we'll be figuring it out as we go along. So please just keep that in mind.
Yeah. Yeah.
If you're from some like tiny, small country in the middle of the ocean, which I think we do have some random little demographics here and there.
Yeah.
We'll figure it out though.
Yeah.
Because if you want a deck of these cards, we want to get them to you.
Yeah. Okay, so yeah, I guess the last nitty gritty is that there's only a limited number because we didn't make heaps for our first drop.
Mm-hmm.
So just keep that in mind. Go and have a look at the website now if you're listening and you're keen to learn more about it. And if/when they sell out, we will hopefully be able to make more.
Yes, our intention is to continue releasing them, but at the moment there are a limited number sitting in our apartment waiting to be shipped off to you guys.
Yes.
Okay, so if you haven't already guessed, we are going to be playing this game today. So shall we just open up the deck?
Shall we?
I hope it goes without saying, but each individual person does not need a deck. But just for the purposes of this video, we both have a deck right now.
Yeah.
So Ducky's going to do a little shuffle. Go right ahead.
All right. So every game of Honesty Hour, did we even mention that it's called Honesty Hour? The game is called Honesty Hour.
Fuck. Why did we not do that?
I don't know.
Anyway,
it's called Honesty Hour, and the first thing that you do when you're playing Honesty Hour is you start by saying what you have to be honest about today. So, Miss Reedy, if you want to take us away, what do you have to be honest about today?
Okay, I'm going to be honest about something that's a touch on the nerdy side, I will say.
Oh,
and that is that lately I read a lot, as we all know, I read a lot. And lately I've been sharing, reviews of what I've read on my Instagram.
Oh.
And at first, I felt really weirdly vulnerable doing it.
Really?
Because I felt like no one cares, right?
Mm-hmm.
But since I've started doing it, I've been having really nice conversations with people who love to read about all the books that I'm reading, and I'm really, really enjoying it.
Love that.
I'm remembering that I really enjoy having conversations about stories and talking about why I love certain books and why I love certain authors and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's kind of a nice little reminder that when you do something and you feel a bit vulnerable or a little bit I don't know if anyone cares, you can be surprised and met with interest, I guess.
Yeah.
So that's what I have to be honest about this week.
I thought the nerdy thing you were going to say was that you've been playing a Candy Crush style game on your phone.
No, I wasn't going to mention that. Thank you very much. It's the way I relax. Sue me.
No, I'm not. I think it's great.
I feel shame about it.
I literally used to play Cluedo on my phone against strangers and take notes in a notebook.
Yeah, but that was when we were in lockdown in 2020.
I honestly would still do it now. I might even tonight.
You do that, hun.
Thanks.
Anyway, what do you have to be honest about to start the card game off?
So I have to be honest about the fact that I am on the Euphoria train.
You are.
And chew fucking chew. Let's go. I love it so much.
You absolutely demolished the first season.
Oh, I kissed goodbye to the first season within a couple of days.
I remember, I think I went out one night and you said, I'm going to stay home, have a quiet one and watch Euphoria. Start watching Euphoria because I think I'm going to like it. And then I got home the next day and you were like, I've finished the first season.
Yeah.
Or I've almost finished the first season.
Yeah. It's brilliant, spectacular, incredible, amazing. I highly recommend it. It does deal with very sensitive issues, as I'm sure that most people are aware by now, but I think it's brilliant. I'm really excited to continue watching season 2, and yeah, I think it has a lot of important conversations, but it is pretty fucked up and pretty dark. So
yeah, the idea that I had of it, and I think that we have spoken about this privately, but the idea I had was that it was kind of like the new version of Skins. But you don't think it is, do you?
I don't think that it has I think it has similar themes, but I think the themes are actually a lot darker and a lot more thought out. The characters feel like they have more depth to them. And it's the way it's shot is one of the most amazing things about it. Like, Skins is story-based to me. It's not like spectacularly shot.
No.
Whereas Euphoria, it's like everything about it is just incredible.
Interesting. I think you've convinced me to give it another go, because I did watch the first episode when it first kind of started a few years back, and I wasn't completely hooked, but I think I'm going to give it another go.
Good.
That's exciting.
Yeah.
Shall we get into the game?
Let's do
you want
it.
to do the honors hunt?
Okay.
You draw the first card.
Okay. Oh. Okay. What is one thing your 13-year-old self needed to hear?
Ooh. I actually do want to say that not every card is super heavy. And also it's kind of as heavy as you make it, I guess. Mm-hmm. But yeah, not every card is going to like
be this deep.
Hit you right in the feels. Okay, do you want to answer first?
No, you go first.
Okay, what would my 13-year-old self need to hear? Is that the question?
Mm-hmm.
I think that one big thing, and this has actually been coming up for me a bit lately, is that I think she would need to hear that she doesn't need to compare herself in terms of how she looks and like how many boys like her. And like this, I think these are things that are very like central to being in that period of your life. Like, 13, like growing up in high school, like figuring out, like feeling like lost and confused and stuff. I think if I could tell myself like, it's going to be fine, like just because you feel deeply different and unusual, that doesn't mean anything about you, and that your life is actually going to be pretty fucking spectacular, and that stuff doesn't matter.
Mm-hmm. Nice.
Yeah. I think that there's a lot of things that I still feel from that like 13-year-old like perspective, I guess. Yeah, I think a lot of insecurity kind of stems from that. Yeah. What about you?
I think I have two things to say.
You say both of them.
My first thing I have to say to my 13-year-old self is, yes, you will regret wearing board shorts below the knees.
Wait, did they make board shorts that went below the knees? That's not a board short. That's a 3/4 pant.
Have you not worn a board short, a long board short below the knee?
No.
My favourite pair that I wore when I was like 12, 13 were these like long white board shorts with pink trim, and I used to match them.
Were they from Hot Topic?
With a pink t-shirt and then a pink zip-up sweater over the top and some white sneakers.
Nice.
That's what I wore when I met Lee Harding.
For those of you who are international listeners, Lee Harding was on Australian Idol, and we both had a phase of loving Lee Harding.
Oh my God.
Very
love
interesting.
him.
Anyway,
that's the first thing that I had to say.
I think, do you have any photos of you in these long board shorts?
I'll
because
have some.
I can't think about. So you mean you couldn't see your knee?
No, you couldn't see the knee.
Who designed those?
I think I might have got them from like Target.
God,
or
was it Piping Hot? The brand Piping
Hot?
Hot?
It might have been Piping
I had
Hot.
so much Piping Hot stuff.
But they were pretty cool. Like I wore them like every day.
So you were a cool kid.
I was so cool.
What's your second thing?
The second thing that I would tell my 13-year-old self is that it's okay to unapologetically love Taylor Swift.
What a great thing to tell your 13-year-old self.
Mm-hmm.
You know what? I would also tell my teenage self that.
I thought that you would like that one.
Yes, I do like that one.
Mm-hmm.
So you felt a lot of embarrassment?
I was a 13-year-old who was obsessed with Taylor Swift and was a vegetarian. Do you think I had it easy?
Wore board shorts
and I was obsessed with Lee Harding and wore board shorts below the knee with a zip-up sweater.
Yeah, you had it hard. You're right. You were very disadvantaged in a lot of ways. Honestly, I think that a lot of we've talked about this before, but like a lot of getting older is realizing that like the things that you found deeply embarrassing as a kid are just like simply, it's like, why did I spend so much time and energy hating myself for this absolutely inconsequential thing.
Wait, it's so funny that I thought that the board shorts were cool, but Taylor Swift wasn't. I was so wrong. I was
What planet is that? Does that make any logical sense?
I really need to find those photos.
Yeah, you do. We need to put them on the Instagram.
Yeah.
Okay, should I draw a card?
Oh, please.
Okay. This one is, how important is your career to your sense of identity?
I'll start.
Yes, start.
My career is quite important to my sense of identity.
Mm-hmm.
I definitely feel, especially after so many years of really not knowing what I was doing with my work and stuff like that, and really feeling very lost, and now doing something that I enjoy, it is very, very important to me that I'm good at my job.
Mm-hmm.
And also I do think that my career and like my creativity that comes with my career is a very big part of who I am and who I present myself as to the world. Yeah.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
I definitely feel like over the past like year, I guess, like you've felt more like proud of like how that reflects you.
Totally.
Don't you think?
Well,
Yeah.
I think a lot of the time when you look at a question like this as well, sometimes you can be like, well, why would your career be that big of a, thing to you? But honestly, I feel a lot of pride in the fact that like I worked really hard to be where I'm at, and I think that it's great that my career means so much to me.
Absolutely. A career is a huge thing to a lot of people.
Yeah.
Like, it is something that we are kind of taught is like central in our life. Like it means a lot. And that's why a lot of people feel a lot of shame when it comes to not having a career or not knowing what they want to do and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I feel like I'm kind of on the opposite end of what you just said, because in terms of my sense of identity, when I was freelance writing and then I went into a completely different field because I needed to get a job and I just needed to do something different, I did feel this sense of failure and this sense of like, I'm not doing my career anymore. So this is embarrassing. Like this feels like silly. Like I don't feel like I can proudly tell people what I do anymore, because it's funny, right? Because like when people would ask when I was freelancing, like, what do you do? And I said, I'm a full-time freelance writer. They would usually say like, oh, wow, that's so interesting. Like, what do you write about? That's cool. You work for yourself. And at that time, I was like, for a period of time, towards the end, I was deeply unhappy with that as my career.
Yeah.
And that's why I changed. But then I went to my other job that was just like, a relatively entry-level job, and I was enjoying it more. But because it wasn't a quote-unquote like career path, I felt this like internalized sense of shame about it. And I think that's when I really realized that the idea of a career is quite central to my identity, and I'd never considered it before.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I think my whole life I've just thought like I want to be a writer, and like when I was in uni I wanted to be a journalist, and honestly even like as I went through uni, like that was quite difficult because I realized that journalism wasn't the right career path for me, and that was kind of like a breaking point. So yeah, I think I'm still coming to terms with what my career means to my sense of identity, but it's definitely heavier than I once thought it was.
Okay, the next question is, how have you changed from this time last year?
I like this question.
Me too.
How have I changed from this time last year?
If you want me to start, I can start.
I can start.
Okay, cool.
So I think to begin with, I'm much more open with how I'm feeling now.
Yeah.
I have been working on this for quite a while, but I think I really kind of broke through like a wall at some point in the past like 6 months, where I have been able to be more open and honest about what I'm feeling, why I'm feeling it, and like all the reasons why I never used to talk about those things with my friends and stuff like that. I think there are a lot of things like insecurities, and honestly even like talking about that career kind of issue for me, like those are the things that I wouldn't have been as talking about as freely this time last year.
Yeah.
As well as that, I think that I would, like this time last year, I was super content just keeping it simple, like kind of coasting away. And I'm not saying that in like a negative way, but coasting in terms of like I was just doing my job, I was coming home, I was doing the podcast, and that was kind of it.
Yeah.
And now I need something a bit more. Like now I want to be doing more creative stuff. I want to be doing something that's more flexible, have more freedom and things like that.
Yeah.
So I'm definitely feeling the changes in that way. What about you?
Nice. That's really good, honey.
Thanks.
I think I've changed a lot since this time last year. I would say I've become really good at setting boundaries, at least a lot more than I used to, as well as that I got a really good job and that has made me feel really fulfilled and really like, I can't believe that I'm doing this for work.
Yeah.
And so that has been really, really great. In terms of how I've changed, in terms of if we go inwards, I feel like I've really started to move forward and done a lot of healing in the past year. And whilst it hasn't been an easy time, I really feel as though I have been putting in the work, putting myself out of my comfort zone and trying to be more open and really move forward with my life. I'm talking post-breakup, just so we're all on the same page. So it's been a really, really nice journey, and I really like questions like this because you can really reflect on how much has changed in a year.
Yes.
'Cause all the time we don't really notice it. We're with ourselves every day. But in reality, like this time last year, I was like super not okay. I was super confused about work. I was super confused about when the fuck I was going to get over my ex. I was feeling really lost, and now I feel pretty like I know what I want, and that feels really nice.
Yeah, I think what you just said about the fact that we're with ourselves every day, so we are often not as aware of when we're changing and how we're changing, because obviously like big changes like, you know, a breakup or getting into a relationship or changing jobs, like those are like big formative changes that we kind of all look at as big changes. But day to day, like working on your mental health, working on boundaries, working on feeling happier overall, like those are things that will take time and they'll go, you know, step by step, little by little. And I think the reason why we loved this question, we put this question in there, is because it really allows you, because like I think our initial response is, oh, I haven't really changed that much, like usually. But when you really put thought into it, you notice that it's kind of impossible not to change over a year. Okay, shall I pick another one?
Please.
Oh,
is this a bit much?
Oh, I love this question.
Okay.
What would you do differently the next time you go through heartbreak? I enjoy this question. I have no fucking clue what I'm going to say, but I enjoy this question.
What would I do differently the next time I went through heartbreak? Okay. I think that I would try and be less reactive.
Okay, yeah.
Because I find myself and have found myself in the past to be quite, okay, I immediately need to block them. I immediately need to do this, or I immediately need to do that, and don't really think about what's actually going to serve me. And it tends to make my healing journey longer, I guess.
Yeah.
I feel this like I'll make irrational decisions because I'm so emotional. I just have no idea what to do. And I found that to happen in most of my breakups, that I can be very, just reactive, I think is the best word. And I think that every, you know, heartbreak and every breakup is different. So, you know, some things are going to work well in some situations and some things are going to work well in other situations. But I think the main thing, if we talk about specifically the last breakup I went through, I really would try and remove the shame.
Yes.
And this has been something that I recently have spoken to my friends about, is the fact that I think a lot of the time we can feel shame for being so heartbroken, or feel shame for still not being able to get over something, or shame for the fact that we've been dumped. I mean, getting dumped is a fucking shit feeling, right? It's like someone literally saying they don't want to be with you. So rude.
It's quite rude. It's confronting as well.
It's very confronting.
It's just like the best way to bring up every insecurity you've ever had.
Absolutely. And so I think I would really try and just be open and vulnerable and say to my friends, I feel really shameful. I feel really embarrassed. I'm feeling these things and I don't know how to process them. Because I think that the minute we talk about shame, we actually remove some of it because we are pushing down that wall in the first place.
Well,
so,
because shame tells us don't say this out loud because it's embarrassing and people are going to judge you and it's not okay for you to feel.
Totally.
So even though it doesn't disappear once you say it, it does remove some of its power, especially when you have, you know, good people around you who will say like, okay, that's valid, but like that's just not the case. Like you don't need to feel shame about that.
And I think especially like depending on the breakup that you go through, you can often be thinking about what other people are thinking of you. I know I've experienced that in a lot of my breakups. I've felt this like, what do all of his friends think of me? Or what do his parents think of me? And all of these things. And I think removing that from your fucking mind in general and just being like, me thinking and considering those people's feelings over my own is not a productive thing to do. This experience has happened to me and my healing journey is about me and it's not about anyone else. Yeah. Anyway, what about you?
Well, I completely agree, and I was going to say the same thing about shame. And I think it's really important to know because as we've spoken about before, like you've been in a few relationships in your life and I haven't. And the reason why we wrote heartbreak instead of the next time you go through a breakup in this question is because heartbreak can mean so many different things. Like I personally haven't gone through a breakup, but I have had heartbreak and
you're just a little chicken. You shouldn't have your heart broken.
My little chicken heart was
your
broken.
Little chicken heart.
But it's true, like, you know, heartbreak can mean romantic, it can mean a different relationship, it can be a friend or you know, a sibling or your parents, like and it could mean, I guess, like whatever it means to you. Like I can definitely envision ways where you could feel heartbroken over grief and like losing someone, like not even just like in a relationship kind of way. So I was definitely relating to what you just said about shame because even though I didn't go through a breakup, I felt a lot of shame because I wasn't seeing this person like in a relationship kind of way.
Yeah.
And I to the point where I wouldn't even say my ex. Like I'd go through this long-winded way of referring to them with my friends and everyone was just like, call him your fucking ex.
Like, and that's the thing, just because he's your ex doesn't mean he's your ex-boyfriend. It just means he's your ex in some way.
Yeah.
And he meant something to you.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So I definitely would consider that. Like I think my heartbreak was definitely exacerbated by the fact that I was like trying to act like I was so fine. Like I'm not as hurt. And I was saying that to him. I was saying it to my friends. I was saying it to everyone. I was saying it to myself. I was trying to act like it was absolutely fine and like convincing myself that there was nothing like wrong.
Yeah.
And that was just not the case. And it took so much longer to get over because of it.
Yeah.
I also think that I would tell myself, or the one thing I would do differently is make sure that I'm not putting blame on myself where blame shouldn't be on myself. Because in that specific situation, I was thinking that I was doing X, Y, and Z wrong and it's my fault and it's embarrassing because of, you know, pushing this person away and like, if I hadn't done that, then they probably would have liked me more. And like, I was just like in this really toxic, like self-talk kind of mindset to the point where I would like apologize to this person for things that I didn't even need to really apologize for.
Like what?
Well, like, you know, being a bit too like intense and stuff like that when really I was just being emotional.
Why as women do we apologize for being so intense?
Yeah, and intense is in like inverted
It's not
commas,
even intense.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like just being fucking open.
Just being a human. So
oh my God, I'm so annoyed.
at past me?
No, I'm not annoyed at past you. I'm annoyed at society in general.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think overall in that way, like I'd probably next time I go through heartbreak, I'd take it a bit slower. I think my mind was going like a million miles an hour, like trying to convince myself and everyone else that it was fine and like trying to make it okay and trying to feel less embarrassed. But if I just slowed down and I was like, here's how I'm feeling, here's the reality of the situation, and I understood myself and what I was feeling better, I wouldn't be apologizing for things I didn't need to apologize for, and I wouldn't be feeling as much shame as I had felt. So, yeah.
Nice, honey. Okay, the next question is, name something that past you would be proud of yourself for achieving. That's cute.
That is really cute. I like this question.
Do you want to go first or do you want me to go?
I want you to go first.
Okay, I can name a few things. So past me would be proud of myself for moving to the Gold Coast because
I was going to say that.
Oh, so sorry. I always wanted to move to the Gold Coast, and the story of how I ended up here, if no one knows, is that I was in a relationship for 2 years and we'd always planned on moving to the Gold Coast and we'd like really talked about it. And then when things ended, it kind of was because like it was for a variety of reasons, but one of the reasons was like he wasn't going to move and I really wanted to get out of Melbourne and do something different. So yeah, that was like a big thing. So I'd be proud of myself for the fact that I ended up moving here by myself and really creating a life for myself, which is something I never thought I would do. I never thought that I would move without a partner, and it just got to the point where I was like, I went through that breakup and I was like, see ya. I just need to, you know, do something for myself.
Yeah.
As well as that, my past self would be very proud of myself for having a successful YouTube channel.
That's impressive.
Is something that I never expected would happen. And the fact that it did is like something that I think I should be really proud of, because I can remember working hospo and having 500 subscribers and like filming my fucking dinner on my lunch break. And now I'm here. So that's like a really, really cool thing. And I think the past me would also be really proud of myself for starting to do netball again in my late 20s because I know that I really love it, and then also getting onto a competitive team.
Yeah, those are all things that you should be very proud of.
Thank you. What about you, honey?
I'm the same as you in terms of my past self would be proud of me for moving here to the Gold Coast. I think that she would also be proud of me for making a podcast and committing to it and like learning a lot of things that, you know, were hard, like, you know, learning how to edit, learning how to navigate like creating like on the spot like conversation that's like, you know, can be like quite hard at times, and like making these cards, like that was a huge learning experience for us. So there's definitely that. I also think going back to the whole like opening up and being more emotional and like facing those things, that's something that the further along that I get, the more I realize that I struggled to do it back then. So I feel like in the past, I've really wanted to open up and I really wanted to talk about how I'm feeling and like, you know, be vulnerable, but it was so hard and so scary. And I think that the fact that I'm getting better at it is something I am super proud of myself for. Nice. Just the fact that I think like, you know, I'm consistently trying to be better. And that's something that started when I was like 19 in terms of starting to go to therapy and stuff like that. I think my 19-year-old self would be super proud of me.
Nice, honey. As well. That's great.
Okay, so the next question is, and our final question, I should say.
Yeah.
What do you think your relationship with yourself would be like without social media? This is something that when we created this question, I thought about it for a long time because I realized that I can't fathom a life or a world like most of us probably can't without social media. Yeah.
I mean, aside from the practical side of things, which is the fact that I have no fucking idea what I'd be doing with my career in general because my whole career is based off social media and the use of social media. In terms of my relationship with myself, if we're talking about consuming social media, I think my relationship with myself would be a lot better. I find that being on social media and having people say mean things to you is something that is really hard. But again, if we remove that, consuming social media as a woman and seeing the way that women's bodies are presented online and seeing the success that other people have and just a lot of things and a lot of comparison, it can mean that you can have a pretty negative relationship with yourself if you are one who is insecure or does compare. So I think if I didn't consume social media as much, which lately I don't consume it as much as I used to, I would have a more positive relationship with myself and less insecurity.
I think that's a very powerful thing for you to admit.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh.
Because I think a lot of people don't want to admit that, like, they would be less insecure if they didn't have. I think we kind of collectively want to act like it's not an issue, if that makes sense.
Right.
So yeah.
Yeah.
I enjoyed that response.
Thank you. What's your response?
I think mine's kind of, I can't really decide in terms of whether I would feel more empowered and more content with myself without social media, or if it would be the opposite. And the reason is because on the one hand, same as you, like, obviously we see a lot of really harmful things on social media. There's a lot of harmful stereotypes and standards that are made, and, like, just like I said before, like, the world without social media would be so wildly different because it just runs everything.
Yeah.
Right? So on the one hand, I do think that there'd be a lot of ways that I wouldn't be comparing myself, that I wouldn't be judging myself, that I wouldn't be being fed ideas about what I should look like, what I should do, where I should be. But on the other hand, I also personally find a lot of representation in social media. I find a lot of, I guess, like, I feel like more seen and more heard. I feel like I get to connect with a lot of people who help me to, I guess, like, see myself in a way that I haven't before thought of seeing myself, if that makes sense. And that is particularly present for me as someone who is, you know, in a bigger body and stuff like that. Like, you know, if I'm just, like, walking around, if I didn't ever have social media and I was just, like, going shopping in a regular shopping center, or, like, just seeing, like, you know, regular advertisements with, like, you know, smaller bodies and stuff like that. Like, those are things that might make me feel more negative because I wouldn't have the positive of being able to go onto Instagram or go onto YouTube and seeing people who look like me and who have similar experiences to me share their thoughts and feelings and everything. So I can't really decide. I think I'm kind of on the fence between, I guess I'm kind of lucky that I have, like, a lot of really big positives that come from it, which I'm sure, like, you do as well.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
But also, obviously, I don't think anyone has a relationship with social media that doesn't have negatives. So yeah, I really can't answer the question, but those are my two thoughts, really.
And I think that is a beautiful way to end today's episode.
I think it is too. Like we said, guys, these cards are available right now on our website. You'll find the link in our bio.
Yeah.
We worked super hard on them, so we're super excited to see how you guys enjoy them. Please let us know your thoughts. You can find more information, like I said, on our website and on our Instagram, which is at tbh.pod.
Yes. As always, you can find my beautiful co-host, Miss Reedy, on Instagram at Cara R. Reedy. You can find me on Instagram at Amanda Ducks. And as always, if you did enjoy today's episode and you'd love to leave us a review, we would love if you would leave a review. You can also join our Facebook community that is linked in the show notes, where we love to chat about just random things, but usually things that we talked about on the episode.
As always, guys, we'll be back in your ears and in front of your eyes next Friday. So we'll talk to you then.
Hope you have a beautiful week. We will talk to you very soon. Bye-bye. Bye.